Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. Let me get this back up. This has happened one time before, so I hope it doesn't keep. When it did, it kept happening. So I hope that doesn't keep happening. You guys can hear me, right? Okay, good. All right, All right, good. Sorry about that. Um, okay. So, all right. So getting back into this one. So I listed all of. I've got up my list A there. Then I've got this. I said Mark was aware of all these facts. We were going through that. Um, After the sale, Mark evenly split the proceeds with Carol and invested his $250,000 in stocks that are now worth $750,000. So Mark made a killing on this. Um, all right. So they sold the house for or Angela bought the house for $500,000. Carol accepted, so that's where that $250,000 comes from, because he's splitting the $500,000 with Carol. All right. So what remedies may Angela obtain against Carol, and then remedies that Angela may obtain against Mark. So I listed everything here already. So actually, let me make sure this is recording. Okay, good. All right. So here, so first of all, you have to establish that there is a basis for recovering remedies. So this one has both tort and contract remedies. Did you guys get that? Did you guys see that it was both? I hope. All right. So, and the basis for contract remedies. Okay, good. The basic for contract remedies is that obviously there's going to be Angela hired Mark, so there's an underlying contract there. Also, there's a contract with when you buy a property. So, all right. So let's go through this. So first we have intentional misrepresentation. So Angela v. Carroll. So we're going to go through the tort remedies and then also the contract remedies. So for intentional misrep, it has to have happened knowingly or recklessly. So Carol must have knowingly or recklessly misrepresented a fact. So here, Carol did knowingly misrepresent a fact. She knowingly did so. So Carol assured A that the on the deck were only bird droppings. Let me do this. Can you guys still read that when I zoom out like that? Okay. Only bird droppings. Okay. Thanks, Andrea. We're only bird droppings. C said they had never appeared previously and would be removed before closing. So the removal before closing isn't a big deal, but we want to see, why that's there. Carol, how did she never had any problem with any kind of pests? So, and then it says here, who had kept it in pristine condition. Okay, so it also tells us that Carol had been desperate to sell the house because of the bats. So she knew about them. So she knew about this, made these statements, and likely made them because she wanted to get out of the house because of the bats. So she didn't make the statements knowingly. It was a misrepresentation. So here I'm just establishing the fact that there is a misrepresentation. So statement about bats, about no pests is false. I mean, I would probably qualify a bat as a pest because they're mildly terrifying. All right, so misrepresentation. So there is a misrep. And then intent to induce. So C was desperate to sell because of the bats. and told Angela all of these same facts. So I'm just going to copy and paste these. Okay, and then reliance. So then also did Angela actually rely on these statements? And she did, because Angela made an offer for $5,000 only after Carol represented that these were that she had never had any problem with any kind of pests, etc. So A made offer only after C made representation about no pests. Yeah, so Andrew asks, yeah, so before you jump into the remedies, you have to lay a foundation as to what basis it's on. Yeah, generally speaking, I think you do. Like, it doesn't say, they don't lay it out for you. So sometimes they'll say, yeah, I mean, essentially, yes, Andrea, you do. Yeah, because otherwise you can't say like on what basis can they recover. So that's why you want to lay it out first. So yeah, definitely do that. Um, all right. All right, and the damages. So then what damages can be recovered? So I listed that all the damages here. So I have monetary damages, I have benefit of the bargain, out of pocket, consequential, and punitive. I have restitutionary damages, so that's obviously to prevent unjust enrichment. I have a constructive trust and an equitable lien as well. So I have a lot of different remedies here. That's why I like this essay, is because it really gives you the opportunity to do so many and cover them all at once. So that's why this is a really good essay to practice from. So let's go through the monetary damages. So this is the value that the property would have if the misrepresentation had been true. So this is just probably the cost of the cleaning. So it's really the 500,000 or difference between the value of home without bat droppings. Yeah. So that's what benefit of the bargain would be. Any out of pocket, again, this is really, it's just the difference between the amount paid and the value received. So again, this is the value of home without bat droppings. So it's $500,000. It doesn't tell us how much it reduced the value by. So this is why I'm not actually putting a number in here. But if I did have that information, then I would be calculating those actual damages. So I just want you to know that. I know, people get freaked out when they have to do math in the bar, but it's going to be pretty easy math. Like, you can do it. All right. So then let's look at consequential. So consequential damages are damages that were foreseeable as a consequence of the breach. So here, as a consequence of the misrepresentation. So let's see here. So consequential. So anything that was any foreseeable. So probably any cleaning costs, anything like that. Cleaning costs. It's going to be. Let me just double check. Yeah, and the $10,000. Yeah. Okay. So I would say it's any cleaning costs plus Angela wouldn't have bought. It seems like Angela wouldn't have bought the house had she would not have bought the house absent the misrep. So the 10,000 is our consequential damages for moving her because would not have moved household goods without the misrep. Punitive. So here, so you can get consequential damages. Punitive. You have to demonstrate that there was some malice, and the punitive damages cannot exceed 10,000. Generally, it can't exceed 10 times what the actual damages were. Here, there is malice because she did this knowingly. So she did it with the intent to deceive. From under intentional misrep. So punitive damages are recoverable. So restitution, anything to prevent unjust enrichment. So for the unjust enrichment here, so the unjust enrichment, let me just make sure I got that part here for you guys too. Yeah, so it would be the 250,000. So Carol, as a result of a sale, as a result of the misrep, obtained $250,000. So that would be covered under the consequential, or I'm sorry, under the under restitution. However, but that would probably be offset by the actual value of the house. So Carol can't just recover, obviously, the $250,000 because Carol also has the house. So it would be offset by the value. So essentially, it's the difference between the value of the home without the bats and the value of the home with. So without bats. With. Okay. And then constructive trust. So this is both for constructive trust and equitable lien. So a constructive trust and equitable lien, generally you can, if you show that the plaintiff's retention of the benefit amounts to unjust enrichment, then oftentimes a court will either award a constructive trust or an equitable lien. But you have to show that there is an inadequate legal remedy. So you can't recover monetary damages. But here, as we talked about above, she can recover all these different types of monetary damages or legal damages. So the court's not going to award constructive trust or unjust or equitable lien. So you can deal with these really quickly, and you could even probably collapse these together into one little section. So can show or a legal, we'll just say legal remedy is available. And that's the same for both of these. All right, any questions about that? Okay, so I'm just gonna put my conclusions on here. So yes, intentional misrep, and then all of these, and then damages. I'm just gonna say yes here because she can basically recover all of them, all except constructive trust, equitable lien are available. All right, so then let's get into the contract remedies against Carol. So you have compensatory. So here there's consequential. So any consequential damages, which here would consist really solely of the I think it's a 10,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, where is compensatory? The expectation damages, yeah. Expectation here. So consequential, foreseeable. So this is expectation. I knew I was missing something in there. Consequential, and then there's rescission and restitution. So the expectation damages. So this is the $500,000 value of home, and then this one is, oops. This one, so the expectation is the $500,000. The difference between the $500,000 and the value of the house, and then the consequential would again be the moving cost and any cost of repair. Oops. Oh my gosh. And you guys get why she's entitled to those consequential costs, right? The moving costs, because even though it seems a little bit backwards, she can recover those because she probably wouldn't have bought the house without the misrep. So it still is a consequence of the misrepresentation that she incurred those costs. All right, and then rescission. So if there are grounds for for rescission. So this shouldn't say rescission, it should say misrepresentation. So so there is a, let me see this. There is a grounds for rescission. So there is a fraudulent misrepresentation or intentional misrepresentation. So because of that, then Carol can rescind the contract. Or I'm sorry, Angela can rescind the contract. Also, Angela was mistaken about the condition of the house because she believed the house was not infested by bats. Carol knew about Angela's mistake. So there are two grounds for rescission here as well. So you'd want to explain that. You don't need to go into a really in-depth analysis of mistake, I don't think. But you do want to just establish, you don't, like, generally speaking, if you were talking about mistake in a contract, in a contract essay, then you would really break it down and go into detail. But I don't think you really need to, or would have the time to do that here. So fraudulent misrep is a grounds, and it's established. C, committed fraudulent misrep, and then A, was mistaken about lack of bats. C, was aware of mistake because C lied. So then they can have we can have the contract rescinded if Carol wants, or if Angela wants. All right, and then again we have restitution, so to prevent unjust enrichment. So here that would be the $250,000 minus the value of the home, with minus the $250 minus the value of the home. With the bats. All right, so does that make sense with respect to Angela v. Carroll? Do you guys have any questions? Okay. Good. So it's a lot to go through, right? Like this one, whenever I like this, I go over this one every bar cycle, and every time I dread it because there's just so much in here. And it just makes me panic a little bit because I think this would be a little bit of a nightmare to get, but at least there's so many different issues to cover, and a lot of them are repeated when you get to Angela v. Mark. So that's at least there's that. So there are a ton of issues, but there's some repetition at the very least. All right, so then with that being said, let's get into Mark's issues here. All right, so again, intentional misrep, so knowing or recklessly. Obviously, so Mark aware that C owned the house for about a year, had been desperate because of bats. Okay, so we knowingly or intentionally lied. I think Mark, there's a little bit of ambiguity. I think that there is a little bit more ambiguity with Mark, but he still was aware of all this, and he did tell her he misrepresented. He said he had found the perfect house, which I don't know anybody that would describe it something as a perfect house that had a bat infestation. When he said what he knew about the house, he said the house been owned by C, who had kept. All right, so he kept it in pristine condition. So this is a little bit different. So he's not making affirmative statements, after the fact, so to induce her, but she wouldn't have been there without him. So intent to induce reliance on the misrep. So I think here there's an opportunity for counter argument. So let's say, his, and then also, so Carol, so Mark has interest because he is a real estate broker and is helping buy a house. knew all bad issues with house, and then also is Carol's cousin, and split proceeds. So I think the big thing is that he split the proceeds with Carol. So he has a major interest in doing this and selling this property. So I do think that you can show intent to induce, but I'm going to put a counter argument here. So the counter argument here is Mark spoke to Angela before she went to the house, which suggests he didn't intend to, but I would say, but it's probably unpersuasive. I think it's unpersuasive because he has such a large interest in the house. And as her realtor, so as with him being her realtor, he might be, it doesn't say this here, but he's not showing her other houses. He's describing this as the perfect house. I think so. I think that has some power over, a realtor has some power over someone by saying something like that. So, I think that there's an issue there. Okay, and then this is the other part where I think there might be some controversy. So with the reliance, Mark spoke to Angela prior to the sale. There's nothing, he didn't say anything after. So it doesn't. I think that this one's a little bit difficult too. So Mark spoke to A before and nothing suggests they spoke after, although they probably would. So I don't, but after, but Angela only went to the house because of Mark. So I think that she probably did rely on Mark's statements. And it's reasonable because you're supposed to be able to trust your real estate broker because a real estate broker has a duty to rely because he is a realtor. Okay. And then the damages. So damages for the intentional misrep. So again, this is just going to be a lot of the same from above. Value that the property would have had. So all of these are really going to be the same. So consequential, punitive, restitution, constructive trust, equitable lien. So, but here for Mark, the big difference is that value. Oops. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, Luciana, yeah, that's a good question. Mentioning something about principal-agent relationship. Yeah, you could do that. I don't know yeah, the fiduciary duty, I think is more, because he's not really acting because that's like he's not negotiating, but he does owe her a fiduciary duty. But I don't know that I would really even go like too deep down that rabbit hole. But that's why I was saying, he is her realtor, so it's reasonable for her to rely, and she likely did because of that, of him saying that it's in pristine condition. So I definitely think that there's something there. Let me open. Yeah, I think that really is sufficient. And okay. Yeah, no problem. So the big difference here obviously is that Mark has taken what he got and he's invested it. So, but for all of these, first for the out of pocket, so benefit of the bargain damages out-of-pocket damages, the consequential damages, and punitive damages. I think that all of these are going to be the same as above. Where it gets a little bit different is that Mark got the unjust enrichment. Mark has the unjust enrichment, so it's with restitution. Here, it's so she's entitled to restitution for at least the $250,000. If not, and possibly up to the $750,000, offset by the actual value of house. So offset by the actual value. And then you also can do the same thing. So Mark got title. So with the constructive trust, you're not limited to putting the specific property within the constructive trust. You can, it goes broader to that. So you can trace anything obtained as a result of that and put that in a constructive trust. So he has $750,000 in stocks. He has the $750,000 in stocks. Wrongfully with the 250 profits from the misrep. So, yeah, and also, and another reason we're doing this. So here, then the other thing I've talked about is there an inadequate legal remedy. So, and there might be an inadequate legal remedy because she might be limited to getting the $250,000 when here it's been that $250 has been turned into $750, because maybe minus the offset. So you want to talk about that, and then the same thing with the equitable lien. Yeah. So with the equitable lien, you're probably going to be best off going with the constructive trust. So Angela could place an equitable lien on the mark or on the stock, and because retention of it would result in unjust enrichment. So she is entitled to an equitable lien of the stock. But given that the stock has increased in value, she's more likely to look to claim the stock itself through a constructive trust. Yeah. Yeah. So in the distinction between the two is that the constructive trust will often give you more, because it's not limited to the specific property that the defendant wrongfully acquired. So if something is increased in value, then you can take, instead of just taking the original 250, you're going to take what that money has been used to acquire. So that means that you would take the actual stocks and not take just the 250,000. So that's why the constructive trust is going to be a better remedy. Does that make sense? The distinction between those two? Okay, good. Okay, I just want to make sure, because that's kind of a tougher concept. A lot of people sort of struggle with that. So that's why I have my answer here, just so I make sure that I'm saying it all correctly. So equitable lien. Equitable lien, yeah. So what an equitable lien does, it puts it on the proceeds of the wrongfully acquired property. So a constructive trust is not limited to the specific property that the defendant wrongfully acquired, whereas an equitable lien is. So you're placing a lien on the property to obtain the original amount. Yeah, and a constructive trust is you're taking whatever that original amount has been used for. So that so you get the original back plus whatever the profit has been made with it. So yeah, essentially, if something is increased in value, go for a constructive trust. Equitable lien. Unlikely because increase. So like but unlikely because of increase in value. All right, so there's all of that. I'm just going to put SAA means same as above. So if you guys didn't know that. Okie doke. All right, and then contract remedies. Again, these are going to be the same as above. So for the expectation damages, the 500,000 and the value, the consequential, same thing. Rescission, same. For the rescission, I would just talk about the fact that, yeah. So there's, you can mention the fact that she has a contract between her and Mark. So I would definitely mention that. So that's really the only fact I'm going to list here because everything else is the same. For Angela. All right. And then unjust enrichment. Yeah. So she's entitled to restitution for $250,000. Again, offset by the value of the house. Okay. All right. So that's that essay. It's definitely a beast. It's definitely a beast of an essay, but it's definitely, it's one that's absolutely doable. So it's just this, you got to kind of spot all of them, go through it, and then really focus with Mark, focus on where there's a difference. And the thing that should have stood out, and I'm sure did for all of you, was that he was what he did with it, and that his misrepresentation was a little bit different. So I think with him there was that ambiguity. So I just want you to point that out. And let me just make this red so it's my counter argument. All right, so that being said, any questions on this essay, or else we're going to move on to the next one. Okay, cool. All right, so let's move on to essay number 2. I'll give you guys 30 minutes. So 7:10, so let's start back at 7:40. So it's this one. Yeah, what's up, Martha? Why does that? Because she did. Because there's an intentional misrep and there's also a breach of contract. So for both, there's an intentional misrep and then probably a breach of contract via breach of fiduciary duty, and breach of contract with respect to the property. Oh. Where? Let me see. So, I see what you're saying. So, yeah, Martha, sorry. So the reason that I do it, so it says tort and conduct, but the reason I do intentional misrep here, that's a really good question. The reason I do it is because intentional misrep has additional damages. So with that, you can do punitive and you can have rescission and you can have rescission, reformation, etc. So those are only available if something like that has occurred. So that's why I included those. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, good. 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 I'm glad, Andrea. I'm glad. All right, so I'll give you guys 30 minutes to look over Remedies Essay 2 here. I think they're labeled differently in the folders for some reason. But I'll leave this here, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Hopefully I don't get kicked off again, but yeah, should be good. All right, let's get back to this one. So read the call to question. This one's a little bit more specific. This one's not quite as lengthy as the prior one. But here we have a couple of different things going on. So you have what equitable remedies can Bell reasonably seek to obtain parcel one. So that tells us that it's it's equitable remedies first of all, and it's also parcel one. So it tells you that it's a piece of land. So you know you're probably going to be looking at specific performance, TRO, etc. And then excuse me, what legal remedies can Bell reasonably seek if she cannot obtain parcel one? So really, you're talking about just damages there, if she can't obtain it. So you would just list out, so your list A, then you would list out essentially, you know, all of the equitable remedies and all of the legal remedies, which I listed on the prior one. So I'm not going to do that here right now. All right, so let's just go through the fact pattern, make sure we have a good understanding of it first. So Steve owned two adjoining and improved tracts of land, parcels 1 and 2 near a lake. Parcel 1 bordered the lake, parcel 2 bordered parcel 1, and was adjacent to an access road. Steve decided to sell parcel 1 to Bell. Bell admired 5 100-year-old oak trees on parcel 1 as its lakefront location. Oh, yeah, okay. On February 1st, Steve and Bell executed a contract. So they're telling you they executed a contract, but it doesn't say that it's valid. So we just want to make sure that it is. At a price of $400,000, the contract specified that the conveyance included the 5 100-year-old oak trees. So those are going to be obviously important here. In addition, the contract stated that Bell was to have an easement across parcel 2 so that she could come and go on the access road. Although the access road was named Lake Drive, Steve and Bell mistakenly believed, so it looks like there's a mistake here, that it was named Top Road, which happened to be the name of another road nearby. The contract referred to the access easement as extending across parcel 2 to Top Road, which would not have been of any use to Bell. So that looks like there's probably going to be a reformation to make the contract conform to what they believed that it was. So the contract specified a conveyance date of April 1st. So later in February, Steve was approached by Tim, who offered Steve $550,000 for parcel 1. So it's a substantial difference. Steve decided to breach his contract with Bell and agreed to convey parcel 1 to Tim. So there's a breach of contract, so that's going to be, you know, an improper action, obviously. And that basically does tell you that there's a valid contract because they're saying that he decided to breach his contract. Despite Bell's insistence that Steve honor his contract, he told her that he was going ahead with the conveyance to Tim in mid-April. So he's not going to do it right away because this is still happening later in February. So you still have at least a month. And added, besides, our contract is no good because the wrong road was named. So you want to deal with that too. So you have to, you know, deal with that as something that Tim can assert as a defense. All right. So then we have, so what equitable remedy? So I want to go through these. So first, I have a TRO. So I have to establish there's imminent and irreparable injury, a likelihood of success on the merits. And then there's the notice issue. You don't have to provide notice, but you have to show that there's a basis for not providing notice. So here the imminent and irreparable injury. So that it's imminent because it's cutting down the oak trees. So because of that, Bell will be unable to enjoy them because they're 100 years old. So she can't easily replace them. So also, if Tim takes a property, he's also a bona fide purchaser, and he cannot. And then Bell cannot recover parcel 1, despite her entering the contract first or executing the contract first. Moreover, Steve's not going to suffer great hardship because he'll be able to sell. So that's not a big deal either. So there's it looks like there will be imminent and irreparable injury because Belle would not be able to enjoy the trees, and she would not be able to get the land which she has contracted for at all. And so that would be irreparable. And then it also is an imminent injury because he might cut down the trees, and he could do that any time. Or Steve could do that at any time. So there's definitely an imminent and irreparable injury here. 2, so likelihood of success on the merits. Here it looks like there's a valid contract. Nothing suggests that there's not. So there is a valid contract. S decided to breach. So it literally just says that in the fact pattern. There doesn't appear to be any defenses, and specifically here they say that they executed a contract for the sale of parcel 1. So that means that there was a writing. So it satisfies the statute of frauds. All right, and then the notice requirement for TRO. So a court can grant notice or can grant TRO without notice of a hearing to the non-moving party if specific facts show that she will suffer an imminent and irreparable injury before the non-moving party can be heard. So Steve has acted in bad faith because he decided to breach the contract. So I think that those specific facts And by doing that, he might go ahead and chop down those trees. And that would obviously, they're 100-year-old trees, so they're not going to be able to replace those. And the contract specifies that they include these trees. So that seems to be a big issue here. One second. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. So it says at the bottom there that Steve was going to cut down the 500-year-old oak trees on parcel one so that he can get a better view. Um, so that would be, so there's that issue. So I think that really is the imminent, irreparable injury right there. And then also obviously the land sale to, Tim. All right. And then valid reason for not providing notice, is, if she notifies him, he might just act in bad faith, or he might go chop them down even faster. That sort of, if he knows that there's a case going on, it sort of incentivizes him to go ahead and just go do it so the damage is done and nobody can prevent him from doing it. So I think that's a good valid reason for not providing notice. And then with the preliminary injunction, so the TRO, you can only have it for 14 days. So then you'd want to get a preliminary injunction. That it's all the same elements as a TRO, but you do have to provide notice. So then she must notify Steve. So, as long as she does that, then the court would probably issue a preliminary injunction. And then additionally, so for equitable remedies, she might get specific performance. So she might force Steve to go through with the contract with her. So for that, you have to show there's a valid contract with sufficient, I don't know why, yeah, sufficient, but it should be certain and definite terms. So you have to identify the land conveyed, the price, terms, and the parties. So parcel one is the land. The purchase price is $400,000 and identifies the parties, so Belle and Steve. So that's good. So plaintiff must have performed or be ready and willing to perform. And there's nothing here that suggests that she is not able to perform. It says here, so first of all, she's wanting to go through with the contract. She wants to prevent him from damaging the tree. So she does really seem committed here. So she's able to perform. Inadequate legal remedy. So property is always unique. So that's easy. Feasibility of enforcement. In talking about feasibility of enforcement, oftentimes the court will, for specific performance, if the property is outside that court's jurisdiction, then a court will often say that it's not feasible to enforce it because that's going to make it obviously a lot more complicated. But so long as Belle files suit in whichever state that they both live in, with the state where the property is located, then she should be fine. So I would mention that just so that you mention that it would be feasible for this court to apply or enforce. And then, no available defenses. So nothing here again suggests that Belle acted improperly. All she did was execute the contract. So there's no defenses that are available to Steve. And then reformation, so modification to conform to the understanding. So this is important. So Steve might try to assert the fact that there was a mistake, a mutual mistake, and try to rescind the contract, but you can't do that here. So what the court is more likely to do is that Belle would want a reformation, so modification to conform to the parties' understanding. So you have to have a valid prior agreement. So there appears to be a valid contract here, and it appears as though it says Steve and Belle mistakenly believed that it was named Top Road. So both of them believe that, which happened to be the name of another road nearby. And the contract referred to the access easement as extending across parcel true to Top Road, and Top Road would not have been of any use to Belle. So they must have agreed to that, to the one called Lake Drive. The writing fails to conform to a valid prior agreement as a result of mistake or fraud. It says that they both mistakenly believed this. So the court is probably going to substitute Lake Drive for Top Road. And both parties did believe the contract reflected the underlying agreement because they both thought that they had the name correct. So despite the parole evidence rule, you can do that. So it doesn't matter. And I don't think you need to go into a full-blown parole evidence analysis of this either. Because there's really no terms, or there's really nothing that goes to a parole evidence analysis. Any questions so far before I go on to the second part? Okay. All right. Oh, the rescission. I don't think that there would be a rescission. There's a rescission is going to be granted you can't do it. Like a court's not going to grant the rescission here, because probably because he's acting in bad faith. So I don't think that they would rescind on that basis. You might talk about it, but it's just like it's a pretty easy no. But it's something you could talk about. And it's also just because of the questions. Yeah, because she wants to enforce it and not rescind it. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It's what equitable remedies can Bell reasonably seek. So it's not really looking at, like, Steve might want to assert rescission, but it's not asking about what Steve wants. It's just saying what equitable remedies can Bell seek to obtain parcel one. So she wants to enforce it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So second one's really easy. So what legal remedies? So just monetary damages. So she can probably get the fair market value. Um, she can probably get the fair market value, and you're going to probably take what Tim is willing to sell it for to determine what fair market value is. So it's 550,000. So Bell can recover the difference between the fair market value and her agreed contract price, which she was going to pay 400,000. Oh, contract price is 400, not 150. So could also, and it doesn't give us any indication of any consequential or incidental damages. But if there were any, she could recover those as well. All right, and that's it. This one's not that bad. The first one is pretty lengthy, but this one's pretty okay. I have a question for you guys. Do you like how I like this one? I went through it really quickly, but I just, I'm sensitive obviously to your guys' time, because I know it's just coming up towards the end here. I like to go through it slow and talk it through with you guys. But do you like when I go through them quick? Do you like it better if I go through it quickly, or if I do it the slow down process that I normally do? Okay. 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 So there's kind of a mix. Okay. Martha, which one? Oh, I have it written down. Okay. I can do it written down and kind of go through it slower. I think that'll be like a nice mix. So I can do that with the last few because we have a few coming up. All right. So the next few days we have tomorrow night is worst case scenarios. Then on Friday, I think it's Friday and Saturday. There's two, but I can do them all in one night if you guys prefer. And I can do this mix where I have them typed in advance. I could do BAPR. Um, yeah, worst case is Valentine's Day. Yeah. Um, but I could if do you guys prefer to do it in one night? That way you have like all of Saturday, or do you want me to split it up? Okay, one night. Okay. So, um, it goes if you guys have them done in advance, and okay, split it up. Um, I mean, I can do it where I have them typed out. I can do it where I have them typed out like this, and then go. Uh, you think they'll all be there? Okay, yeah, yeah, I do actually. I agree, Martha. I think that's actually a good point. I do think that these topics, they tested community property twice in a row previously, so wills and trusts is pretty likely. PR is a definite, and BA hasn't been tested in a while. So they're all just pretty like hot topics right now. So it actually might be better if I split them up. I think that's a really good point. All right, but I will get them posted early so you guys can do them, and then we'll split it up on Friday, and each session will be shorter. I will have the facts typed out ahead of time. I just think that makes it a little easier, but I'll go through it a little bit more slowly. Um, all right, so that's what we'll do. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow night then, if you're there tomorrow night, or else I'll see you on Friday. So yeah, so I'll post the essay questions early. I'll probably get those up tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. So try to get them done before so we can get through them and just kind of be really effective with your time. And that way you can like bring questions in advance. All right, good night, Vanessa. Yeah, good night, Erica. Um, yeah, we're still gonna go over what do tomorrow night. So tomorrow's worst case scenario. No, we're not really gonna go over essays. We're gonna talk about what do you do, just like all of the kind of worst case scenario stuff. Like if you get something you totally don't know, if you get a really weird PT, If there's like a person next to you having a heart attack, all of that stuff. So that's what's tomorrow night. Yeah, no worries. All right, have a good night, guys. I'll talk to you. I'll see you guys tomorrow, perhaps. Bye. Yeah, thanks. You're welcome. All right, good night.